pleasure for a while, but once the dopamine, once the touch or the pizza or the high is gone, you're back to what's your state of being. That's more serotonin. The way I talk about it with kids, it's kind of like the difference between pleasure and happiness. Okay? And I'm not knocking pleasure, but it's lightweight compared to the happiness. Okay? And I talk about it with kids. I'll use this thing around the Wizard of Oz because everybody has seen the Wizard of Oz once they're 10 years old. It's a done deal. You can't before then because the monkeys scare the crap out of people. But once you get beyond that, you can... In it, here's a story about a girl, Dorothy, was trying to find her way home, and they say, well, follow this road, there's a wizard, and maybe the wizard can help you to get home. So she's on the road to go to the wizard, runs into a scarecrow, doesn't have a brain. Come with me, and maybe the scarecrow, maybe the wizard will get you a brain. And someone else wants a heart so they can love, and Tin Man, and then the lion needs courage. So here are these beings on the road going to Oz, to be able to basically get home or get a brain or a heart to put together their lives. And they're standing on the top of the hill. They look down and see Oz. And if you remember in the movie, between them and Oz were the poppy fields, which really release dopamine. And they go off and wander into the poppy fields. And if you, I saw the movie recently, it actually snows, which I think is really interesting. And they go into the poppy fields, and they get a big smile on their face, and they go to sleep. And Glinda, the good witch, says, listen, you want to get a heart, you want to get a brain, you want to get courage, you want to get home, get the hell out of the poppy fields and get on the road and go to Oz. And what scares me is out there, these kids are walking through these poppy fields. It is totally available there. And there's a way in which we need a norm change around this stuff. And so some of it really is, and it's up to us to be, and there's so little education. This stuff about the hippocampus, which, you know, people, wow, that's what explains the marijuana high. Why isn't this information out there? You know, it's interesting that, you know, for a lot of you, you're seeing it for the first time. This information's been around for a long time.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I know in cigarette nicotine research, if you don't smoke before the age of 21, you're very likely to become addicted to cigarettes. Is it similar? I know it's probably a huge debate, but similar with marijuana and alcohol?
Yes. The biggest message is if we can go, look at this. Let me just go to one here.
Could you repeat this?
I'll repeat the question, yes. There. This is a graph that we see over and over again that has to do with drugs. On this one, it's alcohol particularly. But what it is this is the problems that you have with it. In this case, it's dependency in a lifetime. And this is when you first start using. And what you see on every one of these graphs with whatever the drug is, the big drop is between 17 and 18. If we can get them past this point, the prognosis of them becoming harmfully involved goes way down. So there's a lot of truth to being able to say up to this point, not now.
Do you think that's biologically driven, or is that more a nurture thing, or no one knows?
Hard to know. Hard to know. But these are just the statistics around that. Go for it.
Well, where I grew up, drinking was the norm.
Right.
So, I mean...
And it isn't much different today.
Right. So, you know, we're all going to send our kids on to middle school and high school, and everyone else is going to be doing it. So what's, you know, how do we say, don't do it? When the kids that they've known since kindergarten are doing it too. Not anybody in this room.
I understand. I understand, and it's very... And so it becomes very difficult. It becomes very difficult to change that norm. That's part of what I'm trying to get across tonight, is that we did change the norm with tobacco. You know, that isn't the way it was years back. The norm around alcohol, and the kids will say, yeah, 50% of the kids are drinking alcohol. That's right. Part of the norm change is 50% of the kids are not drinking alcohol. I don't want you to drink alcohol. Now, you're going to get your chance. Believe me, college is the biggest risk factor for alcohol that I can think of. Okay, you know, but not now. And I'll tell you why not now. Because I'm concerned about your brain. I'm concerned about your learning. I'm concerned about your safety. You know how this norm gets changed? If you remember, 3 or 4 years ago, there was a drinking party up in the hills, and a couple of kids died up there, and all of a sudden, everybody's antennas went up about alcohol. You have to see a group of drunken teenagers together to really get an accident ready to happen. So for you to be able to say, I don't care, I don't want you drinking. That message has the biggest effect of anything else that we can do out there. And parents are afraid to give that message for exactly what you say. You're asking me to say that to my kid when they're seeing so many people that are doing it. But it takes a lot of parents to be able to say that, to begin to change that norm. I want to say some things about alcohol just for a second with this. In terms of delaying the message, in terms of safety, the kids are thinking less. Kids are let me say something about, go back here for a minute. Adolescents with alcohol, number one, they have a reduced sensitivity to intoxication. They don't know that they're as drunk. They can knock off, like you said, 2 or 3 or 4 40s. 40-ounce bottles of high alcoholic content beer. They are less sensitive to being intoxicated. At the same time, increased sensitivity to social disinhibitions, what that means in English is that their inhibitions go way down. They are more likely to put a lampshade on their head than the adult is. Their inhibitions really go down. And number 3, they're not thinking as much. Hello? But talk about an accident waiting to happen around alcohol. We are so focused on drinking and driving that we tend to ignore, let me see where I'm going here. Kids binge drinking, the kinds of demeaning behaviors, the sexual behaviors, the risk-taking behaviors, the accidents, the learning behavior. They learn, this is the way I deal with stress. I work hard in school, so now this is the way I kick back. This is the way I deal with partying. This really is a training. They're in training at this point, at this time. Look at damage to the developing brain. This comes out, a couple more things. Date rape. 1 to 2/3 teen sexual assaults involve alcohol. Days of Respect came out of this stuff. Listen to this one. 18% of females and 39% of males say it is acceptable for a boy to force sex if the girl is stoned or drunk. It is not wrong. The thing is, the statistic, though, is right. 40% of children who start drinking before the age of 15 will become alcoholics. It's just that's what the stats are. And in television, I chose this one. In television, 9 out of 10 drinkers are portrayed as having no effects or only positive outcomes from their alcohol consumption. They're not getting a message out there that there's really a problem with this stuff at all. It's up to us as parents. We need to do that education. I hope at some point they put a tax on alcohol the same way that they did on cigarettes. There's people in hospitals that are in hospitals because of their drinking stuff, and they sued, right? That's how they got to the tobacco companies. Why can't we do that with the alcohol? To be able to do that education with kids around alcohol. Again, it's not like eating donuts. This is no little deal. It is no little deal, the kid going out there and drinking with a whole bunch of people. There's a safety issue, there's brain issues, there's behavioral issues. There's a lot there. Yeah.
I had heard anecdotally, too, that there was a survey of students in Berkeley, and the parents, they cited the parents as not providing enough education around alcohol. Now, I heard that secondhand, but I think the kids are saying that their parents aren't.
Yeah, and it is part of that thing. You know, I know that you're getting a lot, and as the kid gets older, 16, 17, boy, there's a lot of pressure on you at this point. It's really going against the norm. The alcohol industry has set it up to be a norm at this point. That drinking is just part of what happens, and for kids, so's marijuana a norm.
The one other thing I had heard from 2 people I know whose child at the age of 13 had a marijuana problem and a school problem was that the child asked to be drug tested every day so that he or she could say to their peers, I can't partake because I'm being drug tested. So you think, oh, how horrible, they have to drug test their kid, but it was the kids.
No, it's for the kids. And drug testing, I believe, has a